Warmly welcome everyone to the first retail webinar this year, together with our partner Akeneo. I'm very excited that we have so many participants representing different industries, and it's clear that PIM is a high topic in retail. Before we start, I would like to give a brief introduction about us at CGI, the word best kept secret, as we usually say, and of course some housekeeping. So start with the housekeeping slide. So if you do have any technical problems, Cheng, could you shift to the next slide, please? I'm only seeing the first slide.
It appears somewhat frozen, right? There you go.
No, it works. It works. Good, thank you. So if you do have any technical problems or issues, please feel free to contact me through the chat. And of course, we are happy to take your questions, and you are welcome to send them to us in the chat. And we'll try to answer most of them or all of them at the end of the meeting. If we do not have time to answer your questions, we are happy to take a follow-up meeting and discuss challenges that you have in your organization. We are recording the session, and after the webinar, an on-demand link will be sent out where you can see the recording. And of course, we inform those who couldn't make it today. Just a short brief about us at CGI. We are one of the biggest 5 largest IT and management consulting companies in the world, and with over 80,000 employees. In Sweden, we have large operations with many offices through all the country. We originally consist of VM Data and Akeneo, with which both bought many companies and were leaders in IT and management consulting. We are divided into industries and have in Scandinavia over 300 consultants who focus on retail. And of course, we help our customer with the rapid digitalization that is currently ongoing, especially within retail. For us, it's not just about helping customers choose and implement technical solutions, but together with you, our customers, come to conclusion on how an omnichannel strategy is best designed for your company and towards your customers. My name is Abraham Osi, and together with a colleague, I lead our e-commerce business in Stockholm. It's great honor for me to present today's speakers, Tanguy Merdier, Regional Sales Director for Akeneo, Northern Europe and Middle East, and Anders Hedfalk, Vice President, CGI Retail in Sweden. So I'll ask them to present themselves, and please, Anders, the scene is yours.
Thank you, Abraham. Great to be here, and I think it's a sign of the times, so to speak, that we have, I think, over 100 guests on a webinar about PIM solutions, a topic that has been around for some time, but clearly more and more important. I have been in the retail industry for a long time. I actually started in 1994 with ICA. It's not a big secret. I spent a long time with ICA in the 90s. And that tells you a little bit about how young or old I am. Amazon was actually founded in 1994 as well, 2 months after I started in the retail industry. And so I've spent 20 years plus in the industry, the first 10 years very much with the grocery segment. And after the deregulation of the pharmacy market, I worked very much with the pharmacies as a merchandise and category manager in that area. And over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been very much involved with e-commerce in the global fashion industry. And that's a segment where e-commerce has grown very quickly and where PIM solutions have been very important. And one reason, maybe the reason why I am here today talking about PIM and product experience is that very early on in my career, I was responsible for product information, and the integration of product information and other from the merchandising category management function of the business with other processes and functions such as logistics, such as store sales. So I was responsible for the technical development and integration of the product and price information from merchandising to other functions. So I got a very early experience for how important product information is to make the business work and to make the business tick, to enable sales. I also got respect for the challenge. It's a bit fascinating how difficult it can be in a retail operation to make this work. When you have products that are so simple in their definition compared to 5G networks or a heavy-duty truck, for example. So I have a deep respect and a strong appreciation for the value of product information and how to get it right. And later on, I was very much involved in the early stages of e-commerce, where we started getting new challenges around product information. The product information is not only on the package or in the system, you need to have it on an e-commerce site to enable sales. And I'm sure many of you in the audience have faced those challenges as well. And I've lately also been involved with specifically a PIM implementation with a leading retail consumer brand that started out in Sweden and has now entered three additional European markets. So I'm still a strong believer in the value of getting product information and related information right, and the increasing importance to enable that now as e-commerce is growing. And I will share some reflections and frameworks on how to think about this challenge later on here. And we from CGI Retail, we invited Akeneo, which is not the only solution, but clearly a high quality solution out there, and with a strong track record and time.
Yeah, thanks, Anders. I hope the connection is okay. I apologize. We are in a world of adaptation, so I hope it will be steady. And this is what this talk is about: how to adapt and how to support everything in your business from a product and product experience point of view. Very nice to meet you, everyone. I am Tanguy. You can call me Tang. I'm conscious this is not a very Swedish-friendly name. I've been at Akeneo.
It's not.
I've been at Akeneo for 6 years now, and it's been an absolutely delight to be with Akeneo. Arriving at this company as a number 40, 50, we are now a 300 plus people company, and I lead the sales practice for the European and Asia Pacific business. So thank you, CGI, for inviting us. It's a pleasure, and I must say that we've had a tremendous success all over Europe, not only in Northern Europe. So it's great to speak together, and thank you for organizing this. So I think Anders, I can head to you for the introduction around the role of PIM over time.
Let's
right?
share some perspectives here around PIM. And as I stated, product information has always been at the core of retail and throughout the time. And sometimes when you're working in retail these days, right, when you have in a typical retail chain, you have say 40,000 products, you have so many sales channels, you have 1,500 stores, you have e-commerce in a number of countries, you have a logistics network with say 100 logistics nodes. It's a tremendously complex business, right, to manage, and that's why PIM is getting even more challenging. But it's sometimes nice to remind yourself that retail is very much like it has always been, right? I mean, to the left-hand side, the Wild West, the retail operation where you had one store owner, you knew your customers, you had a limited product range. Still, the business logic, the business model at its core is very similar to some extent, but you have added a lot of complexity around many dimensions. And then I highlighted the first period when retail started to growing into a more professional, large-scale business, and I think Tesco is fair to say was a role model for a modern retail chain as Tesco started growing throughout the 90s, and with different store formats, loyalty systems, private label brands, your own product development. Tesco was a role model, especially in the grocery space, where ICA and Coop and Axfood are clearly good examples. And if you think of product information back in the day, it was very much supply-driven exercise. You got your product information from your suppliers, and you had to crunch product information into your own system. It was not a high-value activity, rather managing the registers and make sure that you could sell the product 12 weeks after you have decided to list them, and then make sure that the stores and the logistics processes had the information you needed. And you often talked about master data management, not an activity that was on top of the management agenda. Still extremely important to make the retail chain work. And then e-commerce started growing, and sometimes we forget that it has taken quite a while for e-commerce to really get to the level where we are today. Amazon was founded, as I said, in 1994, and Apotea, one of the success stories in the Swedish pharma industry, was founded in 2003. So it's only after, and ICA's first e-commerce business was launched in 2015. So e-commerce has been around for a while, but it was when e-commerce really started growing that these solutions called PIM solutions. Some of you are experts in those solutions, some of you are more new to the solution space, but PIM solutions, product information management systems, started to emerge. I don't know, when was Akeneo founded? Tang?
2010, so we are very much into this e-commerce era.
Yeah,
and seen as primarily as a PIM for e-commerce, even though we do cover a lot of the use cases as well. Yeah,
that's right. So Akeneo started coming. You have some Swedish companies like InRiver. This is a solution you like to compete with, I'm sure, right? And you have some other solutions as well out there. But those solutions started coming into the market because the e-commerce really required a new way of enriching product information to just enable the e-commerce sale. And I mean, pictures is of course a very obvious thing, which everybody understands. The retailers face the challenge with ingredients, how you could really explain your products online and keep that updated. Could be extremely challenging with suppliers and products who are not used to that. The Gorby pizza, for example, couldn't sell online for half a year in Sweden because it was not possible to update the ingredients all the time. You had the size problem in the fashion stores. It's an extremely difficult problem when you can't try the product on. And so the PIM solutions started coming into the market because it was needed to enable e-commerce. And not surprisingly, these solutions were often found early on with catalog-driven retailers like H&M, Rowell, the catalog business of H&M, Clas Ohlson, and IKEA, where this kind of problem had been around for quite some time to enable the catalog sales. So, and if we are now moving into 2022, we have a reality where e-commerce, depending on the category, has grown to quite substantial levels. Fashion and electronics is of course very high. Everybody knows that. Still, the groceries are maybe around 5-6%. So it's starting in earnest only now. But it's clearly a step where the customer journey starts very often online, where you have digital touch points all the time. So you need to have that product information in the digital channel and in several channels. And second, almost every retailer is one way or another an omnichannel business. I'm not sure about Apotea though, but even Amazon is opening stores, right? And so you have a mix between physical stores and digital channels. And that's where the PIM challenge, the product experience challenge, really comes to the forefront. Okay, so let's look into the customer experience, how it works. And I mean, compared to the Tesco heydays, right, when Tesco ruled the world, now the customer journey looks completely different. And product information is not something you take in from your suppliers and push to the store. When you think through it, many of you in one way or another are now working with customer experience frameworks. You are mapping your customer journeys, and this is a framework I actually adapted. I thought it was a good one, so I adapted it from Forrester research, the 6 tenets of product information management, so some serious thinking. But clearly, when you are thinking through your customer experience and the way that product information or product-related information impact each and every step in the customer journey, it's a bit fascinating, but you also realize how important and also difficult it is to get this right. But just to give you some highlights, engage. How do you engage customers around, say, inspirational or lifestyle content around your products?
Yeah. Discover.
Social media, the way you can present your products in different search formats with hierarchies, attributes, so that you get found at all when customer journeys start on Amazon. And social media overall, how do you get your product information to, say, Facebook? We know that marketplaces is the fastest growing e-commerce channel. If you want to sell on Amazon, is no well-known candidate, but there are many other marketplaces out there, especially in Asia. How do you get the product feed and the attributes to the marketplaces? The stage where customers explore your product range and your offering, tremendous amount of opportunities to visualize your products, how to enable comparisons, mix and match. Fashion, you buy a shirt, you buy something else. How do you make that happen? Video, different comparisons that you needed to find and explore the product. And maybe the most important step, which was difficult in the early days of e-commerce, how to make sure the conversion can happen at all. Because if you cannot trust the size, can you buy it? I mean, the solution was to enable return rates of up to, maybe I shouldn't mention the figure since I know it, but we all know that it's north of 30% of returns in the fashion industry. And the key sales attributes, I remember some very fun examples from the sports business. You cannot sell a bicycle if you cannot specify the height of the saddle. Then you cannot sell a bicycle. You cannot sell a hockey stick to that target group if you cannot specify the left or right curve of the blade. So those sales attributes that are needed. Sustainability declarations. Coop is a good example. We're happy to promote Coop in that area. That's a good example. Manufacturer descriptions, packaging, etc. All the information you need to convert the sale needs to be there. And then, as we know, customer loyalty is everything these days to make the customers stick to your brand and your products, and information about how to use the products, care instructions, how you can make sure you get customer feedback to your CRM and your merchandise organization, and how you can engage with the right service offering. FAQs around products, tutorials, how do you enable service in product search, for example. And then the cycle starts again. Do you realize this kind of thinking, Tang? What's your take?
Yeah, I love your approach, because I think we arrived to the same conclusion, but with different angles, and it's definitely great to see that we share a common ground. Yeah, I love the story, the storytelling, the product storage, the engagements, the inspirational. This is something that very few customers today have the maturity on to understand that they need to master that. They should do so in a PXM solution in practice, and maybe invest into a proper practice people that are professional in telling those product stories. Not to everyone from the product management. You are a former product manager, Anders. Not everyone to that extent is able to draft and craft a compelling product story, and we love this approach here. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, the message is the omnichannel is a reality. We are at a moment of truth stage for the omnichannel. The e-commerce market shares in many categories are above 20%. I think pharmacy is crossing the 20% line in Sweden. It gets very contested. The groceries are catching up as we speak. So I think compared to the good old days where you took product information and pushed it to the store, now you must start thinking about how product information impacts each and every touch point in your customer journey. And a good question is, where do you start? Where do you start? If you, I think each and every retailer is somewhere along the development track here and in different stages. But where do you start? I think on the left-hand side, I made a drawing of how you typically in your businesses see a PIM discussion from a solution perspective. And you typically see a number of stakeholders around product information. It often starts with the assortment or product development organization, where you actually source the products or design the products. On the supply side, you often have sourcing involved with product specifications. You have a lot of logistics requirements on how to make the products, how to deliver the products with stability and quality. And then what you're seeing now is marketing is, of course, highly interested in product information to promote the brand and the range across marketing channels. But then clearly, as the digital development has happened, it's almost exploding, so to speak, what is on the right-hand side. And actually, I had a discussion with a furniture retailer only 3 years ago. Then we had print. Print was first. Print channel was the first channel. Now it has been abandoned with some of the catalog retailers. But here you have social media. I mean, as a starting point, you have social media, you have the e-commerce site, you have the mobile app. Many of you have the marketplace, be it Myntra, Amazon, or Yahoo, or even Tradera. You have the store point of sale solution. You have a range of other solutions in the store, kiosks. You have store displays, etc. And maybe you even have some printed material that you use. And you have also other systems, right? The good question is, do you need a PIM or not? Sometimes there was a time when we said we need it or not because we have an ERP, we have a CRM, we have an e-com. But so the whole concept traditionally of PIM has been to have a hub, a central solution to secure that you have one way of managing and handling your information in a consistent way. And this supply-driven, push-driven discussion around PIM solution. It was not always very exciting for business people because it was very much about definitions of information, hierarchies, very important stuff, but not always exciting for sales-driven business people. Product attributes, relations, information management, master data management. And that discussion, of course, needs to be there today as well. And you need to be very good at that. Otherwise, you will not succeed. But to really get traction, to really do the right thing, we recommend that you start your PIM discussion more on the customer experience side of your business model, because there are very clear business case drivers and strategic drivers to build on when you get into the discussion. And Tang, you will elaborate a little bit on those specific numbers and specific customer feedback, but I'm just mentioning them. We know that a poor product experience reflects very poorly on your brand. So don't go there, you understand that. Sales conversion, how to get the attributes that enable the sales. Shorter time to market, how to get your product range out into the channels. We know that can take weeks, months. Don't let it take that long. We know that moving into new geographies is not easy. Translate different languages, different local conditions. We all most of us experienced Amazon's entry into Sweden. What did it look like? Reduced returns, increased productivity in your operation, since this can take such a long time and such a lot of manual work. Finally, to demonstrate your sustainability footprint can be a must-have, a deal breaker with many customers. So that was my introduction, a bit of reflection on where PIM is coming from and why it gets so important today, how customer experience is driving development, and the business case drivers. I could talk forever about this, but now it's you, Tang.
Yeah, thanks a lot. My takeaway from this part, I love your approach to making people realize that we are slowly moving from a push model where we receive the requirements of our suppliers, of our industry, as is a necessary thing to manage. We move away from that approach where we want to be able to serve our customer and deliver the customer experience they expect, with, of course, the dependencies that we have. So the features and functions needed on the left side of the screen here are absolutely necessary. But I loved the way you envisioned the evaluation of PIM towards business cases. And this is really how you should think a next generation PIM or PXM. And that's a good segue for me to introduce anyone around the call to PXM, which stands for Product Experience Management. So think of it as a level a little bit beyond solely the PIM. As Anders explained, not only do we want to manage properly the data, the structure inside a system, but we do so for a purpose. We do so because we want to bring it in front of the customer into the right context, mainly into digital, of course. We want it to be adapted to the channel we sell to. And you don't sell, obviously, to print versus digital. Of course, the people in this call that have seen this journey of moving from an offline business to an online business know what it takes. And of course, digital opens a lot of international expansion opportunities. So you need to be able to localize your content as well. And to be successful in that practice, you don't have a technology alone. You have to welcome the people and the processes as well as the technology. That's what PXM is about. When I mean people, we envisage your organization as inclusive of your suppliers. They have to be part of this PXM journey, as well as the resellers of your resellers if you are a brand today. So you have to be able to control the complete suite of your product to address this product experience challenge. For a purpose is business growth. This is what PXM is intended to fundamentally. And I'm sure on this call there will be B2B and B2C organizations. And sometimes we get the questions from B2B organizations around, yeah, but for me, customer experience or product experience is more of a B2C trend. Well, this is a good example of that. This is not so completely accurate. Roca is one of our customers in Spain. They are a manufacturer of high-end bath, products like the one shown on your screen here, and they moved from a very B2B way of presenting products and the product experience on the right side of the screen to a very B2C driven approach where they want to show not only the product characteristics that Anders was describing very well, but also the ambience, the universe, how to express the story around the product by leveraging the designer that you see in this page. And so you see that they went a lot beyond what people would expect from a B2B typical way of presenting products. And this is what buyers today expect. They are, from a younger generation. They are also evolving their approach to purchasing. And this is a great example that B2B organizations should also take care of product experience.
So the right-hand side is what it looked like before, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Very traditional way with technical descriptions, a downloadable product fact sheet. And then on the left side is what it is today with the ambience, the look and feel, how it looks like in a bathroom, the story of the designer. So a lot of storytelling, as you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mentioned first in the engage stage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, engage with the thinking, the designer of this bath.
And personally, I don't know what you think, Anders, but I'd rather have a bath on the left side of the screen rather than on the right side, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the right-hand side looks extremely product spec, right?
Yeah, and we don't envision or imagine ourselves in here. So that's a great example to show that this concerns everyone, and I hope everyone will feel concerned in this call. This is now let's take the other way around, right? The bad PXM examples and what it involves in terms of bad brand image, as Anders was saying, if you do not take care of it. Here on the shelf, there is something that appears where obviously, if it's too long, let me know. Well, that was an internal comment of a product and category manager that has not been well implemented from a pure data governance, right? From a control point of view. And you want to make sure your organization, through the tooling, through the processes you put in place, does not let those products out. Other example online this time with Made Good, where they mismatched the flag of Canada with the flag of the United States. So all of a sudden, when you arrive on this website, you feel confused. You're like, hang on a minute, where am I? We're not talking about the same things. And you lose confidence fundamentally in the ability of this website to provide you with good information. And most likely you're going to quit, or lack of trust basically in the relationship with your customers. So a good example of why you should invest also to make sure these things don't happen. So now back to PIM. So yeah, I think it's all about single place to collect and manage what it takes to get an accurate product information. And in order to create product catalogs, we still can do print catalogs. This is still part of our business, and we acknowledge that some of the business still do so, but also address the new challenges distributed to whatever sales and digital e-commerce channels you may have. A PIM solution makes it this faster and easier, basically to deliver that, because it is also very often a struggle to be able to manage this information in a good way and in a fast way. This is our primary concern at Akeneo. And why is that important fundamentally? Why are we trying to preach the right gospel here? It's important because, back from two studies that are interesting if you combine them together. Fundamentally, business is all about bringing customers in front of products, right? This is as easy as that. Talking about customers, Adobe did a digital trends study in 2021, where if you want to be a leader in your vertical, you need to be a leader in customer experience. 70% of the leaders are leaders because they are leaders in customer experience and are able to provide a top-notch customer experience. Against this study, we have another very interesting one from the Forrester in 2020, where what has the most impact on your customer index score is actually product experience. And the product experience you offer is what has the most impact on your ability to outpace your peers in your vertical. So those things combined should make you think that product experience is absolutely of essence in this world. Another survey we did to maybe also understand what your customers are expecting. We did this survey back in February 2021 with a leader survey agency across Europe and in the US as well, where 50% of the consumers would be ready to pay 10% or a greater premium if they are sure that the product information against what they're buying is accurate. So imagine today with all the pressure we're having on margin and stuff like that, if you invest into proper product experience, you may as well be increasing your prices and still be a leader in terms of sales. 3 out of 4 consumer, and that's a danger of not taking care of your product experience. 3 out of 4 consumer would switch brands following a bad product information experience. So things I was sharing with you before, if you unfortunately have this is dangerous, because everything you invest into to acquire new consumers is something worthless, because you would lose them and they would switch it anyway. Abandoned cart can also be something that is impacted by bad product information. And lastly, this resonates quite well with what Anders was saying around carbon footprint or sustainability information. More than 50% of shoppers are ready to pay more for products that feature a clear information around this, around brand values, around carbon footprint, or responsible sourcing. How do you make sure you manage and you push this information to your consumers with a PXM solution, of course? These are quick ROI points that our customers actually gave to us. And this is how it resonates well with what Anders was saying on how to envision an investment in PXM. Well, it's all about increasing conversions, where you can have up to 37%, where Rural King has seen an increase in sales thanks to the PXM investment. And they could compare side by side categories that were enriched via the process and a new solution, and the previous legacy way of doing so. Impact on returns as well. If you consider that your returns could be linked to wrong product information, huge cost savings addressed to that. Increase in productivity, especially into the fashion business like Kurt Geiger. Your enrichment of product information is a continuous effort. You have seasons 4-5 times a year. You have 3,000 products to enrich every now and then to be translated. You need to be faster and to bring products faster to the market. Otherwise, you're going to be outpaced by other competitors. And also easing the localization, the translation of your content is very key. Very often attached to the digital investment, you are going to go to international markets, and you need to have a proper foundation to be able to localize, translate, and define what owing to this market is necessary and what is not in another one.
Yeah. When I hear your drivers here, I think it's always important to remember that in a typical retail business, how many products you have in so many channels. You don't only need to get them to the market, you need to update it continuously every day, 24 hours a day if you're in a digital format. And it's a dirty secret, I think, how many manual man hours you need to spend to make that happen. And I think that goes for Facebook and many other companies. How many people are actually sitting just managing product information?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually a good segue for this story. I wanted to give a local taste. I know there are people from Sweden, I'm sure. If you are based out of Stockholm, I'm sure you know Pierce. And if you are a fan of motorcycle, this is not me. I'm more into cycling, but I know there are big fans of enduro bicycles in Sweden. And Pierce is a big champion. You should be proud of this great, amazing brand that grew, absolutely crazy over the past year. And we're very proud to be supporting their growth fundamentally, where the challenge they had is, with a homebrewed PIM, a difficult way to increase volumes and support the growth they wanted, both in terms of new, brands they wanted to welcome into their chains, as well as the new categories, the expansion of type of products they wanted. They had a very long enrichment process with a very long time to market. So the time between which you want to sell a product and the time you can actually sell it, and it happens online. And also, I think naturally the organization do operate in silos where category A, Yamaha, would not speak with the other category, or across brands they would potentially ask the same things to the supplier. So a lot of loss of efficiency here. And the benefits by adding Akeneo to their business model is, adding way more new products faster at a faster pace to its catalog, investing into a proper product information team. This has nothing to do with us, with our tool. This is really how they've understood how to professionalize a practice around product experience, around product information. And this is new to these businesses, right? We did not have those teams before. They used to sit in e-commerce teams, in print teams, or in SEO teams, and people used to not speak together. They have truly understood that they need to bring people together in a joint approach. And here they now can address, a really centralized approach inside the organization, although being very remote in terms of organization. A lot of countries work for peers, so they also need a digital tool to collaborate remotely, as we do today.
I mean, that's a great product, relatively complex product, I assume. But
it's true that if we jump back to your diagram around, we want to manage complexity of product data. This industry is very, very complex, with a lot of combination of compatibility against models and spare parts, sprockets and chains of a certain size for a certain year, and you name it. So yeah, definitely complexity is there, but let's not forget the aim, growth, and customer experience fundamentally. Another good example is bygghemma. We wanted to give also a taste for maybe the Finnish side of the markets, where we were on a very passionate journey with Pekka Rantanen from bygghemma in Finland, where they've truly seen Akeneo as a way to secure the growth they wanted to have online, especially with an increased productivity that was absolutely huge and very fast. Also, the PIM went live, I think, in 3 months. We are into this journey where we want to go quick and deliver a quick return on investment to the business, and not spend 8, 9, 12 months in delivering a difficult project. Also, the supplier side of the organization is key here. Fundamentally, they buy products from supplier to sell it to you and me that try to build this cabin in the back of our garden. We need to be better at collaborating with suppliers, and this is how also they've used Akeneo to standardize and streamline this whole process, which was a huge bottleneck in the past. Other examples elsewhere, more west from where you are in the UK, where we work for the furniture industry, an industry that, Anders, I think you know very well, from the challenge they have. So yeah, and here it's a good example of an omnichannel way to produce customer experience, right? On the brand.com on the left side, the Instagram and Pinterest made.com in the center, as well as kiosk/showroom applications, all of those being fed because they are able to manage a consistent product experience on the back of Akeneo PIM. And when you reach this level, you may as well be even to the next level. And this is the awesome example that shows that how product experience can be truly changing completely the approach and the experience you have as a customer for things that are as complex as a couch to buy online. I think, Anders, you wanted to add to that, right?
Yeah, I think furniture is a great category to highlight these challenges. And I think it's actually quite a complex product when it comes to just a specification, right? And you also have the challenge that the people don't buy furniture that often, especially not the big ticket items. And I also think of the way that a company like Akeneo now works, for example, across so many different channels and formats, to kiosks, etc., to make customers able to interact with the product and the design in this very interactive way. It's I mean it's the example to fall in love with. I think it's and the way
you want to buy a product all of a sudden. Free ads for make.com today.
Yeah. So the furniture segment and the way you need to and we also know that the growth of furniture sales online has been somewhat slow, right? It's not as low as in grocery, but IKEA I think is reporting 10% e-commerce share in Sweden. So that is still quite low compared to many other segments.
Good, thanks. Another example, back to the B2B space, we work with the likes of Tarkett. They sell floorings. So everything you see on the floor of the buildings here is what they manufacture. So they are a very, if you think about it, it's a very heavy industry, B2B. You could think of it as a construction supplier, right? But instead of keeping it this way, they completely embraced the codes of B2C with an absolutely top-notch customer experience online. Although you cannot buy today online directly from them, you have to be a reseller to buy. They do want customers to know the quality of the products and feel the experience you could have with their products online today. On Instagram, that's quite surprising for a pure B2B brand, but they want to go beyond that and address the interest of customers, and again control the end-to-end process until the final customers that, if you think about it, are not the target customers, but they know that this will have an impact on their resellers, so they invest into it.
Yeah.
I'm just conscious of time, trying to keep a few minutes for the Q&A. This is just a summary of the primary business cases for an investment in PXM. It's all about selling faster, with the golden KPI being time to market. It's all about selling better to the destinations. I think when we were preparing, Anders, you had a quite funny, if I may say, example of how difficult it was to localize product information on Amazon when it was launched in Sweden, I think. And that's a good way of what you shouldn't do, right? You take care of your localization of your content prior to launching new locales, new markets, new marketplaces. This is very key. It could affect your brand. Take care of that as much as you take care of your customers. So yeah, I'm just going to go quick on that, just conscious of everyone's time. Finally, if you want to check where you are at today, what is your level of maturity when it comes to product experience, feel free to go on our website where we have a free product maturity assessment guide where it's 4 minutes, 14 questions. It will give you a good outlook on how we think you are in a maturity plan and where you should improve. This could be a good deliverable to present to your bosses if you need to pitch the idea of investing into PXM. And we will be very happy with Anders and his team to follow up with you upon those maturity assessments. Maybe just to finish, 5 key takeaways. Both product experience and customer experience are the key to unlocking your growth today. Really treat your product data as an asset. this is what defines you as a business. You need to be controlling the value against it. Don't forget the digital assets. We did not touch upon this point, but the image, the videos is of course key to provide good product experience, and build a good foundation to stack on top of it a modular and agile approach. You can't do big bangs. You can't do every digital channels from the start. Think of PXM as a foundation brick to build additional channels in the future. HR approach, the fourth point here. Today we see new people, new type of category manager. They have new expectations. They want easy to use tools. They want to be supported in their day-to-day lives. And fifth point, have a champion internally to focus and remind that fundamentally what we want is the customer-centric product information experience, more than the dependency you might have in your organization. I try to be quicker than planned, Abraham. I will hand it over to you, maybe for reading Q&As if we have any.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Tang and Anders. Very inspirational. Yeah, we received actually some questions. To start with, how do you make sure that you collect the right information to your PIM? Where do you get it from? That was the first question. So
I think that's on you, Tang.
Yeah, no problem. So many ways to do so. You can make sure you get the right information into your process internally by having gatekeeper. So these gatekeeper can either be technical gatekeeper that make sure the data that comes in is in the right format, for example. It can also be a gatekeeper as a human that checks as a category manager. Let's say I am the category manager in charge of buying target products, but when I receive products, I want to make sure they are compliant with the way I want to sell as bygghemma, for example. So I am able to refuse, reject, challenge my suppliers, and I am the owner of what comes into my platform. So yeah, two simple approach, a technical check and a more process that you're going to build against and together with your suppliers.
I think for that process, I mean, you need to also to be good at the supply side of information here. So you need to be strong on information definitions and be very clear on data governance, the kind of data you need and the exact formats, the data models, etc. I mean, that's an engineering part.
Yeah, and there's no one approach to what we call supplier onboarding. It's very often not a very binary topic. It depends on many things, from your supplier maturity to how important you are for your suppliers. Are you stronger than your supplier, or is it the other way around? Can you impose certain things? And we provide a bunch of different solutions dependent on that. And the role of CGI is to help us assess the maturity of those suppliers against your organization as a retailer, typically, to make sure you have the right process, the right approach. If you're buying from Adidas and you're a small boutique sport retailer, obviously you'll have to comply with their requirements, and we have to acknowledge that. That's fine, and there's numerous of solutions to address that.
Yeah, let's try to cover more questions. I believe you already touched this, Anders, but maybe we got a question. Do you always need a PIM? You've already touched it a little bit. Do you want to elaborate?
Do you always need a PIM, right? And I think
always need a PIM.
That has been we are here talking about PIM. And I think if you go back a few years, right, in the e-commerce, the development of e-commerce, I think there has, especially if you are a physical retailer moving into digital, right, there has often in projects been a question: do we really need a PIM solution, or can we manage this information in some home-brewed PIM, like this Pierce motorcycle guys, a home-brewed PIM, or do we have the information we need in the ERP or together with the e-commerce site? Don't we have enough systems handling product information? Do we need one more? I think that was a question you could ask. And I've been in projects where the PIM question was a cliffhanger for a very long time into the project. And in this specific example, we actually decided we need a PIM. So we invested in it. But but you can also clearly see that you can have maybe too many systems managing product information, and that can add complexity. I think now, 2022, when you have e-commerce shares of north of 20%, and you have channels growing like social media channels, you need to be available in search. SOE, you are also selling on an external marketplace. It gets very difficult to manage and scale that complexity without a product information, without a scalable and high quality product information solution that also brings down the, I mean, it's not a fun situation where 30% of the merchandising and marketing department are working with manual product information work. So you need the internal efficiency around that as well. So I think, I mean, we are here to provide options, right? So I wouldn't say that you always need a PIM, but I think if you are serious about e-commerce and omnichannel with more than 20% e-com, you should seriously consider a PIM and evaluate where you are. Yeah. But I also think you should start with the business strategy drivers and the customer experience. And that is a paradigm shift, right? Consulting, nice word, paradigm shift. And I think if you take IKEA, the furniture retailer, it was only in 2019 that they abandoned Ingvar Kamprad's legacy statement, sortimentet är vår identitet, the assortment is our identity, into customer experience is what drives IKEA forward, or something like that. Great. So seriously consider a PIM if you are serious about omnichannel.
Thank you, Anders. We got two more questions, so we do have only 2 minutes now. One of them is more related to share the presentation of the webinar, so we're going to send a link to a recorded and PDF for the presentation, so we can take it off there. And we do have another question. Can you show us a demo of Akeneo? And we will be more than happy to run a demo.
Yeah.
Because it's anonymous. So please, the one who would like to us to run a demo, so get in touch. So we will be more than happy to run this demo for you.
Yeah.
Let's see if there is something more. I believe that we covered more questions. We do have one more question, but I don't think we will be able to answer it. So thank you very much for your time, and it's, as I mentioned, it was very inspirational to listen and hear both Chang, your case studies, and also Anders, the timeline starting with the Wild West and our time today with the customer experience. So thank you very much, and see you soon, hopefully, with the more webinars and also talking to you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your interactions.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Tang.
Thanks. Bye.
Great talk.
Thanks. Likewise.